So welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the Max Jancar show. Today we are talking about a very important topic. Basically, I'm gonna be answering all of the most common questions regarding being blocked by your ex, being blocked on everything. So email, Facebook, Instagram, phone, and so on. So maybe you're worried that you've said or done something wrong. Maybe you're afraid about what your ex thinks of you. Maybe what's really bothering you is the thought that they've perhaps moved on for good, and in the process of doing so, kind of discarded you as though you never meant anything to them and as though you had no real intrinsic value to begin with. Now look, whatever flavor of your personal story, personal worry, the situation likely prompted you to ask a lot of different questions surrounding being blocked. For example, a very common one: why did your ex block you in the first place? Was it fair or ethical to block you? For how long will you stay blocked? Doesn't your ex love you anymore or care about you? Are they hurt or pissed off? How do you get them to unblock you, and whether or not you can still get back together with them? These are just some of the questions people ask themselves and think about when they get into a situation where their ex blocks them. Well, worry not, because like I said at the beginning in this pod, I will answer all of these questions and more. So buckle up and let's do this. Let's get through this together. Starting with the first question, probably the most common question people ask me about this topic. Readers, basically clients, customers, my course enrollees, they mostly, when it comes to this topic, ask me this specific question, and it's all about: why did it happen? Why did your ex block you? On everything, on just a few platforms, whatever. Now here's my take, right? While your ex may block you because of a combination of reasons, there's always at least one or maybe two that really stick out. So to make this process of figuring out why your ex blocked you in the first place easier for you, let me go and actually list out some of the most common reasons why an average ex would block another one, right? So let's start with the reasons relating to you and your behaviors directly. So a really big reason here is that you were more concerned with how your ex perceived you than how you perceived yourself, and consequently, you kept trying to prove yourself to them, and that's why they blocked you. Another important reason would be you kept sacrificing your identity for them to a point where you basically gave up on all your values, you basically gave up all of your beliefs that made you you, that is, the person your ex fell in love with in the first place. And that leads them to lose respect for you and block you. Another reason they've blocked you would be that you were controlling, you were clingy, you were suffocating. Maybe you kept stalking them on social media and they have kept noticing it. Maybe you were simply unwilling to stand up for yourself and for what you want, basically for your desires or thoughts or whatever. Or you just didn't know how to stand up for yourself and assert some proper, healthy personal boundaries. Maybe you've ended your relationship in bad, or not in, but on bad terms. So maybe there was infidelity involved, maybe there was lying involved, arguments, and so on. Maybe, now to kind of switch, by the way, the topic to reasons more or less tied to what your ex is going through, so tied directly to them as opposed to you, maybe your ex just didn't want to risk postponing their recovery by staying in touch. Maybe they're playing games and trying to come out on top. It's maybe a power play for them. Some sort of a status game would be another way to put it. Maybe your ex is indulging in some weird revenge fetish, or maybe they are simply testing you. So this means they are gauging how you will respond to their block and whether or not that response will be reasonable or not. Maybe they're just pissed off, maybe they hate your guts, maybe they are frustrated for whatever reason. Maybe they just want nothing to do with you anymore and have already moved on. Maybe they're dating someone new and they don't want you to get involved, and that's why they block you on everything, because it's just really awkward otherwise. You trying to maybe rekindle a connection, you trying to message them for whatever reason, it's awkward for the new person. Or maybe another reason your ex blocks you would be because they don't trust themselves to resist reaching out to you. So put another way, maybe they still care about you and want to reach out, but they know that that's a bad idea because, let's say, perhaps you just weren't compatible. So they put obstacles like blocks in place, so blocking you, in order to make contact, communication with you a struggle. Now, as for the last reason your ex blocks you, it's, because they feel guilty for breaking up and don't want you to remind them of their supposed mistake through your contact. Now that's it for the reasons. That's hopefully a good answer, a sufficient answer for the question of why does your ex block you in the first place. Now let me tackle my next question. Is it fair or mature or ethical for an ex to block you? Is it something that is, moral? Now, this is by far the weirdest question I have received on this topic. And my answer to it, after quite some rumination over it, after quite some pondering, is that it's irrelevant. Like, who gives a fuck if it's fair, mature, or ethical for your ex to block you? Really, there's no use in embarking on this long, convoluted philosophical journey and try to untangle the whole thing. I'm a big time lover of philosophy, and it breaks my heart to say this, but in this particular case, just trying to figure out whether your ex blocking you is good or bad, it's a complete waste of time. The block's moral nature is completely irrelevant. And trying to straighten it out, it won't solve anything. You'll just make yourself go batshit insane from all the rumination that you will force yourself into. Now here's what you should focus on instead, if I may redirect your attention perhaps. Your ex has their reasons for the block. Sometimes they're tied to what you're doing, other times they're tied to how they feel. Sometimes these reasons are justified, like when you keep texting your ex. Other times they are uncalled for, as in the case of amicable breakups. Like, why would you block someone after an amicable breakup, right? But regardless, what you should focus on, despite the block for whatever reason, and especially what you should focus on instead of whether a block is moral or not, is moving forward with your life. So don't whine, don't mope, don't ruminate on this stuff. It's not worth it. It's all diminishing returns on your mental health after the first 10 minutes anyway. Now onwards to my next question. Is it a good thing that my ex blocked me on everything? Is it a good thing that your ex blocked you on everything? Now, most people look at me like I have like two big hairy balls growing out of my chin when I tell them this, but yes, having your ex block you on everything is, or on most stuff, is often a good thing. Like, let me just list out a couple of really good benefits of being blocked in the first place. First of all, there is way less obsessing, right? Obsessing over an ex, it's a common struggle. However, being blocked can make it way easier to stop this behavior. And while, yeah, it might be frustrating at first, being blocked helps you break free from a disempowering habit that prevents healing. Basically, by not being able to see your ex's social media presence or activity, or without being able to contact them, you can start focusing. Hell, you're kind of forced to focus on yourself and move forward with your life as a result. And that's great. Also, another benefit to being blocked is that you have way fewer reminders to worry about. Because since your ex blocked you, there's less of a chance that you'll come across their social media posts, which can reopen your breakup wounds and set you maybe down a negative thinking spiral. You'll also have lighter temptations when you're blocked because, those times when you kind of want to reach out to your ex, maybe profess your unyielding, undying love, even though you kind of know they will reject you afterward and you will then feel only more brokenhearted, right? Well, if your ex blocks you, you'll have fewer temptations like that. Or we could also say you would have way fewer options to act on those temptations, and hence fewer chances of screwing up either reattraction and or breakup recovery. And finally, by being blocked, you're gonna have your panic kind of subdued, kind of dampened. Because here's the thing, panic, it often makes us overlook the negative aspects of our relationship while getting us to excessively focus on the positive aspects. Luckily, when your ex blocks you, while it does increase panic in the short term, it does decrease it in the long, enabling you to cobble together this more realistic, sensible understanding of the nature of your ex relationship. Anyhow, onwards to my next question. Is it true that if your ex blocks you, you win? Okay, so this is a really weird belief floating around the breakup space for the last few years, I believe. The idea is that being blocked can ultimately be beneficial for your personal growth and mental health, making you the quote-unquote winner in the situation by gaining the opportunity to fully move forward with your life. Okay, that's fair, that's all fun and fallacia. That's something I said or mentioned earlier as well, how being blocked can be a beneficial thing. And if this is your understanding of the whole be blocked and win idea, I'd say, yeah, sure, it's true, being blocked is a win. However, there's another interpretation of this belief lurking on the interwebs. Some people think it means coming out on top of their ex, as in winning some childish power play that your ex doesn't even know they're participating in. Now, this mentality, this second mentality, it's undeniably a recipe for a toxic relationship, and please avoid adopting it at all costs. It's just stupid and it's just unrealistic and definitely very much disempowering to both you as well as your ex. As for my next question, does my ex still love me if they blocked me? No, this is my answer. Your ex probably wouldn't be in love with you if they've blocked you. Because here's the deal. When people are in love, they typically want to communicate and resolve conflicts, not sever connections by blocking. Blocking signifies this desire to create distance, to move on, or to protect oneself from further emotional distress. It's very much a gesture that screams the opposite of love. It's kind of like indifference, maybe even a little bit of malice. So if you're asking this question, does my ex still love me if they blocked me? Well, here's my theory. Based on my understanding from coaching people for years now on these topics, if you're asking this question, you're probably very desperate to get back with your ex. Or at least you're holding on to hope that you'll eventually reconcile. And look, love alone just won't save your relationship or make it last. Love by itself, while beautiful, while necessary, it's not enough. If you ever really want to get back with your ex, kind of a little tangent here, you will need to prioritize other healthier values over love to make your relationship work. Honesty, empathy, respect, trust, vulnerability, because these things build a foundation of transparency. They help you understand each other's feelings and foster a deeper connection. They help you feel valued and appreciated in the relationship. They help you feel secure and confident in the relationship. It enables you to share different things with each other. And it makes two people in a relationship more resilient. And then love, that's just, the cherry on top. It should be there. I'm not bashing on love. I'm just saying it's really overrated at the moment when it comes to the whole question of its importance. Now, my next question is, why has an ex blocked me but then unblocked me? Why have they done it? Probably because they are confused about you. Maybe your ex is torn between checking your social media for personal updates like getting a new partner and letting you go. Maybe they're torn between calling you and asking you if you'd like to get back together and leaving you alone for a few more days. Or they're torn between asking you for their stuff back and withholding the request because it could make you feel even more rejected than you are rejected, already feeling rejected right now. Now, another explanation for why your ex keeps blocking and unblocking you could be also because they are testing you. That is, they want to see how you react to their mixed signals. They want to see how you will whether you will react positively or negatively in a healthy manner or in an unhealthy, dysfunctional, pussy-like manner. But then again, this is often not the case. It's very rare that your ex will actually be testing you for these things. Most of the time, when your ex is quote-unquote supposedly testing you, they are more likely just rejecting you indirectly. And you're just too defensive or afraid to really see the difference because it will basically make you lose all hope in getting back together, and that's just really scary and it hurts. So that's that. The next question, how long will it take until an ex will unblock you? The answer here is no fucking idea. It's different for everyone, and whoever gives you like a, I think, specific, concrete number for your specific situation, I think it's selling you bullshit. Some people get unblocked in a matter of hours. Some people get unblocked in a matter of days. Some people get unblocked in a matter of years. And some people, they never get unblocked. Still, one of the key influences or factors, whether your ex will unblock you or not, is their attachment style. So if they're an avoidant, specifically, that is, there's someone who puts excessive value in independence and freedom, they will probably want plenty of space and thus will keep you blocked for far longer than usual, right? But avoidant or not, the two things that matter during your time being blocked are that you are A, patient, and B, that you avoid being a nuisance. For instance, by calling or texting your ex when they clearly haven't put any effort into reconnecting. Now another question, my ex blocked me but still talks to me. What gives? What do we do? Very common question. Now here's my take. If your ex blocked you but still talks to you after they dumped you, it likely means you still see them in person despite being blocked digitally. Maybe you work together, maybe you share a kid, or you live in the same space. All fair, all valid situations. The point is, in these situations, in these cases, you should only communicate with your ex when it's necessary, and only when it's about a problem or a challenge, you're trying to arrange or resolve concerning shared responsibilities, like a kid, a pet, a shared work project, a living together, stuff like that. So, will frequent communication like this hinder your breakup recovery? Will it hinder reattraction if that's your goal? Yeah, probably. But look, it's not like you really have a choice at all times. You still can get over your breakup, you still can get past your breakup despite being in contact with your ex. It's just gonna take longer than if you would cut your ex out of your life for good, or if they would actually cut you out of their life for good. Now, my next question is all about hey, my ex has unblocked me, and that's great, but they just haven't yet reached out. What do I do? How should I think about this situation? Now, here's what I think. If your ex unblocked you, be it after weeks, months, or even years post breakup, but hasn't reached out yet, they have probably done it because of 5 key reasons. Number 1, because it's a kind gesture and they don't want to come off as mean. Number 2, because they're worried or scared about how you'll react and they want to play it safe, so they just unblock you. 3, because they feel uncomfortable talking to you. 4, because they're afraid of hurting you again. 5, they've had a random urge to unblock you that vanished as quickly as it appeared. Ultimately, if your ex unblocked you, yes, they may still harbor feelings for you, they may even want you back, but since they haven't reached out yet, you just can't know for sure. Nevertheless, whether your goal is to get them back or to simply get over the breakup, I suggest you proceed as always by simply letting them go. And if they've unblocked you, don't think they suddenly gave you the green light to reach out yourself and try to get them back. Please leave them be. It's probably because, just a tiny tangent here, it's probably because of your excessive reaching out that they have blocked you in the first place. So if you ever want to rekindle your relationship, please let them contact you first, let them reach out first, and then move forward. And I have other resources on my website, I have other podcast episodes that go deeper into this process of what do you do once your ex reaches out to eventually mend your relationship. So go check those out, all available on maxjancar.com. But now let's go to my final question that I got about this topic, probably the most important one by far, or at least one of the most, I think, practical ones regarding the answer. And the question is, what do I do when my ex blocks me? How do I handle it? How do I get unblocked? Things of that nature. Now let's first talk about how you should not handle your ex blocking you, since there is a shit ton of misinformation out there. So generally speaking, never ever try to force, cajole, or manipulate or use some sneaky trick to make your ex unblock you. This means no posting provocative photos of you with random attractive people just to make your ex jealous. No sending those dumb templated text messages like the good reminder text. No bragging to friends how well you're doing when you're actually not, with hopes that the fake news gets back to your ex. These behaviors, they will lead you nowhere. Your ex will eventually see through your bullshit, and they will figure out what you're doing, and they will lose trust and respect and attraction for you, and you will never ever get them back or be in a nice, even platonic relationship with them, because they will just hate you for it. They will hate you for being a manipulative dipshit. And remember, getting your ex to unblock you in general has way more to do with how you handle yourself than how you attempt or try to handle them. So on that note, here are some ways you should respond when your ex blocks you, okay? First of all, accept that being blocked is beyond your control. You might not understand or agree with your ex's reasons, and that's fine, but please respect their boundaries anyways. It's the right thing to do. Just note that acceptance doesn't mean you are suddenly okay with whatever happened. Rather, it means you're ready to stop fighting reality and start moving forward, be that with or without your ex. Also, very important, another tip: avoid fixation. Sure, it's tempting to obsess over why you're blocked, but this often leads to misery. Instead of fixating on it, I want you to shift your focus to your own life. Like, what are your goals? What hobbies have you neglected? What's your social life like? Are you treating your body well? Like, these are the things you should focus on and work on. Also, consider a temporary social media detox. Basically, a period where you just get off social media and at least try to get through 1 month on such a period, because the idea here is that constant updates from friends and maybe even glimpses into your ex's life, it can make moving on difficult. It can make moving forward from a breakup difficult. Who knows, maybe your ex gets in a relationship with someone else during this time. Maybe your friends post their wedding photos and you get like really jealous because you also want to be in a relationship, in some sort of a commitment, and that just all prolongs your healing. Like, disconnecting can help you really clear your mind and reduce the urge to check if your ex unblocked you already in the first place. It's also wise to rebuild self-esteem after you've been blocked, because there's a good chance that being blocked by your ex, it will diminish your self-esteem. So maybe a good place to start would be to rebuild it, or to build it, would be to engage in activities that make you feel good about yourself, whether it's physical activities like yoga and running, or creative outlets like painting and writing. Also, please don't go through this alone. Talk to friends and family who understand what you're going through. Consider joining support groups or talking to a therapist. Basically, external support can provide a different perspective and, the much needed encouragements to get you through the tough times. Also, very smart, journal, because writing down your thoughts and feelings, it can be very therapeutic. It can be a very therapeutic way, in fact, to process your ex's block. Specifically, I want you to try and journal about your progress, your setbacks, and any emotions that arise. And finally, do a block back, as I like to call it. So basically, consider blocking your ex back if you think it will help you move forward and you are sure that you wouldn't want to reconcile with your ex in the future, because obviously if you block them back, it's going to make reconciliation way more difficult to pull off in the future, okay? So that's pretty much it for this pod episode. If you want to go deeper into my work, if you want to stay in touch, you should really sign up for my newsletter, the Breakthrough Letter, where each week you'll get a short email with one idea, one suggestion, and one resource to help you break through your breakup and create a new possibility for love, be that with your ex or someone else. If that's something up your alley, if you want to try out my newsletter completely free, just go to maxjancar.com/letters. That's maxjancar.com/letters, as in a letter you would send to your mom or your aunt or whatever. So that being said, that's all from my side. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to this pod. And, well, talk soon.